Welcome to the I Don't Give a Should show, a podcast exploring all the ways that women should all over themselves. How many times do you find yourself acting out of obligation or doing what everyone else expects from you without stopping to consider why? Where do all those beliefs that are driving you come from? If you're tired of feeling resentful, overwhelmed, stuck, exhausted, or pissed off, you are in the right place. Shooting all over yourself is a real thing, but it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat. I'm your host, Jen Sherwood, and I spent way too many years trying to prove that I was good enough and worrying what other people thought while avoiding conflict at all costs. Today, I don't give a shit. Well, not as many anyway, and neither should you. I'm talking to women like you who figured out how to stop shoulding and start living. So I am so happy to introduce you to my guest, Gina Wong. I'm so happy Gina's here. She's a friend of mine. Gina was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. Both of us are the same in that. She left, though, and went to New York City for a few years before coming back to California. She went to school for advertising and marketing and had a 13-year career in that space, but didn't really find her purpose. Instead, she ended up finding her purpose as a living benefits specialist, helping to ensure families have living benefits in their plans so that if a critical injury, an illness, a disability, or a death were to occur, their family doesn't wipe out their savings or have to go open a GoFundMe page and struggle financially. Also, Gina can share ways to be sheltered from taxes. In her words, yes, we all pay enough taxes. Gina, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to share your story.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I just love your energy. And so when you said, hey, can you do this interview? I was like, me?
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I'm thrilled to have you here. And you all watching should know that Gina and I do know each other. So I've heard some of her story before. And actually, before we hit record today, I was like, hold on, stop talking. We have to get this on tape. How old am I? You know what I mean? But we have to get this in the interview for other people to hear. So I literally like the thing in the films where we were like, cut. So here we are. Thank you for the compliment. And I'm thrilled that you're here. So, okay. Let's jump in. Gina, can you tell us what it was like when you were living under the shoulds?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I love the title, Stop Shitting All Over Yourself, because I was like, that is genius. Because number one, I feel like a lot of us, we shit on ourselves,
Yep.
We're so hard on ourselves and, oh, how come I'm not this? But then I love the shoulding, because how many people in life have those expectations from our family or our grandparents, our parents and whatnot, or when we compare ourselves to others, I should be like this person. So I'm going to tell you, so being raised in an Asian American family, well, I mean, my parents are from Asia, so I'm first generation. They were really hard. They had a lot of expectations, and I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't blame them, because they came from Hong Kong. So my mom, just to kind of give you a background of my mom's.
Please
life.
do. Yeah.
She was raised in China. She had a really hard life. She had about 7 or 8 siblings. And, as you know, back then in China, you could only have one son.
Oh, right.
One son. So my grandma was popping all these babies out, right? And she went against the government and said, I'm not killing any of my babies, because they would literally throw the baby off the bridge, and drown the baby because he only had one, right?
Ooh, as a mother, but even not as a mother, as a human being, to hear that and think about it and let yourself sit in the humanity of that. How horrible. And your grandma's kind of a rebellious rock star.
I love her. Yeah, she was amazing. And so my mom had one brother and the rest were girls.
Oh, so, wow. Your grandma rocked.
And what's funny is my grandma had the boy second to the last kid.
Wow.
So she was hoping for a boy, because being a boy in the Chinese culture, like that carries the name. So I think my grandpa was like, well, let's keep it going until. So when they had the boy, they had one more girl, which is my youngest aunt. She's like a mom to me too. But going back to my mom's story, so when my grandparents decided to move to Hong Kong, the only person that didn't want to move with them was my great grandmother. And she's like, if you think my grandma was a rebellious person, my great grandma was even more so. So my grandma assigned my mom to stay with my great grandmother.
Okay.
So it was just them two while everyone else moved to Hong Kong. I didn't tell you the story, so you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm in my seat. My mom, she ended up staying with my great grandmother. She was always talking back to the police. So there was a time where she actually went to jail.
Oh my God.
My mom had to make food for my grandma and would walk miles from where they lived to the jail to deliver food to my great grandmother.
Oh, it was your great grandmother that was talking back to this. Oh, I was thinking it was your mom. Oh my gosh. And then your mom would deliver food. This is insane.
And she was, I think, like around 10 years old. And so then finally, my great grandmother said, okay, fine, we'll move to Hong Kong. So they joined the rest of the family. So growing up, my mom just had a really hard life, and as she got older, she was like, I really want to give my future offspring like the best opportunity. So I think she was in her mid-20s. She had already started dating my dad, which is a whole nother story, but they started dating, and my mom was a nurse at the time. So she was like, you know what, I want to move to America. And my dad said, nope, I'm not moving. And she said, okay, I'll just go there temporarily. So she moved here. She didn't get to do nursing in America because it's a different education.
Yeah.
She started from scratch. She worked at a restaurant. She worked as a tailor. She also worked at like a cleaners. So, and she didn't speak a lick of English.
Wow.
So for her to come all the way here with nothing, start from scratch, and then as the years gone by, she ended up convincing my dad to come here, and so with that said, she does have the right to have these expectations because she worked so hard to build this life and this empire for her and her kids, and even generations to come. The thing is, having those expectations on like little kids, like you should do this, you should do that. And being Asian, there's obviously that whole tiger mom thing, right? My mom wasn't quite a tiger mom in the fact of you have to get straight A's. Like I got C's. I've gotten a few D's in my lifetime.
This is truth telling time here, right, Gina?
And I think the most consistent A's I've ever got was in dance. She would say to me, why do you keep getting A's in dance? Are you going to be a Broadway dancer? And I was like, I don't know. I might be.
Maybe.
But, she would always say, make sure, when I was older, hey, make sure you go to school, and then you go to the career of that education that you got. So I was in advertising and marketing, work for that field. You should work there until you retire.
Stay there until you die, Gina. Get the job and never leave. Yes.
What? And so at first I would do that, right? But working in advertising, there's a very big door that keeps swinging around. You're always, the turnover is very high. So I worked for a company for 5 years, and that was even a long time because people leave every 2 years because they want that promotion to the next level. But I just didn't feel fulfilled. So I said, I'm gonna do whatever you want.
Okay, so wait, let me back you up a step though. So you've got this mom who has these big expectations, and Gina and I were joking before we got on here when she started talking about her mom. I said, oh yeah, so your mom moves over because she really wants this other life for you guys. And then it's basically, and here's how you're going to do it. So as your mom is kind of giving you this prescriptive life and you're deciding you're not going to do it, was there a time where you did what she said to do, or were you always rebellious?
No, I mean, no, trust me, my rebellious did not come out until later. So, being the youngest, my sister is 7 years older than me. Like right when she had the chance to move to LA, she moved. Like she just upped and moved to LA for film. But being the youngest and the fact that my parents were older, my mom had me when she was like 43, 44,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and they owned a business. So they owned a dry cleaners and a laundromat. So being the youngest, I felt obligated to stay.
yeah.
I didn't go away for college. My mom wanted me to stay locally. Oh, why don't you stay locally so that you can help mom and dad with the business? And even, and I was always like, okay, yes, because I was always told to be the good child,
Right.
and I was like the favorite. My sister knows this. I'm the favorite.
No, nobody's going to be surprised by this, right?
Oh, well, thank you. So I was always, putting my family and the business first. So even,
Yeah.
I didn't choose a school far away because of that. But also, even after high school, I had a regular job. I worked, I think, 30 hours a week, had a full time schedule for school. And then on my extra time or on my Saturdays, I would go to my mom and dad's laundromat and dry cleaners and help them out.
And
And
how do you think that was not how do you think? What was that like for you? Were you looking at your sister in Southern California and sort of wishing you could go do something else, or were you just heads down following the rules?
I was just heads down following the rules. And I think I didn't feel like I had to help them, but I felt, gosh, my parents are older. Like, yeah, I can go out and like party and stuff like that on a Saturday afternoon, but it just didn't feel right to me. And I think because the way my mom raised me, I'm always at the store working. Like I've been working, like, don't have my mom arrested, but we were working since we were 6 years old.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
years. We went from like untangling the hangers all the way to ironing sheets and shirts and stuff like that. So knowing how hard my mom worked, I wanted to go there on my off day to help her because I know she's older. She's already working so hard. So is my dad. Why can't I just, sacrifice my Saturdays just to help them?
Yeah. That's a lot of responsibility
Yeah. So
for somebody who was, as we're talking, I mean, I realize you're sort of college or out of college at this point, but it's still a lot of responsibility to carry.
yeah. And even when my dad was sick, so when my dad was sick with stage 4 lung cancer, and this was 2006, quickly I just took the reins and I was like, okay, so here's the game plan, dad. And my dad never cried, never complained, other
Mm.
than like, I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
And that he cried was when the doctor told him finally, like a year later, that there is no other treatment that we can do to save your life.
Oh,
Yeah. And so, but even in that time when my dad was sick, I put a lot of stuff on my shoulders. I was like, okay, I'm the youngest one. I'm the only daughter here
yeah.
in the
Hmm.
area to take care of my parents. Okay, I'm gonna caregive my dad. And I was like, nobody's gonna care for my dad better than I can. I can do it
Mm.
by myself. My work allowed me to work from home. And then my sister was like, hey, I'll come up to the Bay Area and I'll help you. So we were kind of going back and forth, and my sister would come up for weeks at a time and then go back and then kind of relieve because caregiving is a lot of work. I don't know if
Yes,
you,
it is.
it's a lot of work. It's mentally, emotionally, physically draining.
All of that. Yes.
And it's like, and I even talked to people that are currently doing that for their daughter and their mom, or sorry,
Mm.
their daughter and their wife. And he's like, I'm officially their caregiver, and I get paid as their caregiver, but it's a lot. So with that, I even help with that. And of course, I would never, complain about helping
Right.
my parents, and but it was a lot on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I feel like growing up, you have to be with your parents, you have to take care of your parents, you have to, and which I have no, nothing against. But I think that it's also good to just like branch out and ask for that help, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, can I ask you a question that's going to seem a little bit unrelated, but I just want to orient myself in time in your life. When you were caring for your dad, was that before or after you went to New York?
Oh, actually that was before because I never
Okay.
moved. But that's funny that you say that because a year after my dad passed away, I was thinking to myself, gosh, if I were to die today,
Mm.
would I be What am I happy of where my life has gone?
Ooh, what a profound question.
I was like, I have not done anything that I don't even dream. I
Is
never
that just because you were following that path? Like, here's the expectations and here's the next thing?
I was never told to dream.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was never, inspired to dream either. Whereas like now we have all these motivational speakers, we got the Gary Vee's and Tony Robbins, the Mel Robbins. We were just never inspired to dream. Maybe
Yeah.
I, but I was like, gosh, like if I were to die today, like would I die like fulfilled?
Mm.
And so I was like, okay, well, my sister got to move away. Maybe it's my time. So
Yeah.
I visited New York once. I said, Mom, I'm gonna move to New York. And she was like, what?
I can't even imagine that conversation.
Your dad just died. What do you mean you're moving to New York? I'm like, Mom, I know you don't understand it now, but if I don't do this for me, I'm gonna regret it. And I don't want to
Yeah.
in on you. And I told her that. She's like, oh, I don't understand this. Why can't you just move to LA near your sister? That way you can drive 5 hours up. I'm like, I know you want me to move to LA. Again, she's trying to help me plan. I was like, no, I'm gonna move to LA.
Can I just call that what that is? She's trying to control. Helping you plan. It seems like the end result is I want to control what you're doing.
Exactly. And and it comes from wherever she got it from.
Yes. No criticism. Just let's look at it.
But I was just like, no, I'm gonna move to New York. And she's like, oh my goodness, like I can't, and I was the one that was helping a lot in the business.
Yeah.
So I was like stuck at a hard place because I was like, do I stay and help my mom because she's the only one that's here? She had a laundromat and a dry cleaners. Or do I go and live, in New York City where I just want to just try? I've never lived alone. I've never been so independent before. I just need to do it because if I don't, then I'm always gonna just be here.
But I think your story can resonate with people, maybe not under the same circumstances, but that struggle between, do I do what I want to do for myself or do I do for others? And that is a really hard place to be. And so what do you think it was that helped you decide to go and live a dream? Was it the fact that you had lost your dad and you were thinking, oh, I don't know what you were thinking actually. Like, were you thinking there's more to life or?
Yeah, I felt like there was more to life than just going off of what someone else is trying to, plan for you. And
Yeah.
because I kept doing, my family was everything to me. And
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to do something for me. I can't just do everything my mom tells me to do because I mean, knock on wood, when my mom's not here, then who am I supposed to turn to?
Yeah.
What to do?
That's a really good point. If you've got someone paving the way for you or planning the way for you, then yeah, you would be completely lost.
Yeah. And so that's why I decided to move. And my mom was really upset. She was like, oh my goodness. But, when I moved to New York, so before I moved to New York, my mom would always call me. Like, it's not even hello, how are you doing? It's, hey, go to the bank. Hey, do this. Hey, did you do this? And I'm like, okay. When I moved to New York, Jennifer, hi, did you eat yet? How's work?
Oh,
Changed our relationship entirely.
wow.
Yeah. And so when my dad was sick, my mom had to, well, she's always had a driver's license, but she was always dependent on my mom or my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was sick. She had to, okay, I need to be independent. I need to drive on my own. I can't always have Gina take me because she has a job, right? Because I used to take her to work, then go to San Francisco to work.
Oh my gosh.
Or pick her up. And so she's like, okay, it's a lot for you. Let me be independent. So when I moved to New York, she had no choice but to depend on herself.
Oh my goodness.
So she grew on her own here. I grew on my own in New York City. And we would, whenever we talk, it was very quality conversation versus, hey, do this, hey, do that. And so I think she realized, you know what, this is a really great move for Gina to move to New York, and so, and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm only going to move for 2 to 3 years. She's like, okay, 2 years. I was like, no, 2 to 3 years. And I was like, no, Mom, 2 to 3 years. She's like, why do you say 2 to 3 years? back in 2 years, you're going to get mad at me. So I'm going to give you a range. And I ended up coming back like 2.5 years because I just could not stand all 4 seasons of the year.
Okay.
The snow,
Yes.
when it's hot, like humid weather in New York City is no joke. There's only so much clothing that you can take off before you can get arrested. So
Right. Yeah. For those of you watching who don't know, Gina and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, where we are fortunate to live in like the best climate. We have very, very mild winters, lovely summers, and pretty much nothing in between.
yeah, it's amazing. 2 seasons.
And that's it. Okay. So you come back from New York, you're back home. Before I go there, I really want to point out, particularly for women who are watching this, so many women don't want to make a choice for themselves because they feel like it's selfish somehow. But by Gina going and allowing herself to grow, it benefited her and her mother. This is the thing, I can't say it enough, that oftentimes when we choose ourselves, it ripples out to the people around us. And I really want to emphasize this. Okay, so you're back home, but you're not in advertising anymore.
Oh no, I still am. I moved, I think that was the second to the last job because this was back in 2011. I moved back here.
Okay, so how did you switch? Because there was a career switch.
Yeah, so it was, let's see, when I moved back here, I worked for XO Group, which is the knot.com. It's like wedding planning.
Oh yeah.
And then I moved on to a different company, which was local in Palo Alto, which is Houzz, HOUZZ.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked there for I think almost 5 years. I don't know, for some reason, every like company that I worked for, there was always this 5-year expiration date. Like,
Oh, interesting.
really weird. I don't know if it's like in my past relationships, 7 years was always. But anyways, so I think it was when I went to Tony Robbins' seminar in 2007. It was Unleash the Power Within. I was like, oh, I'll go to this because it'll help me with like my business. I had like a side business. But then going to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, I was like knocking down all these barriers that I had built up from just growing up. I'm not enough. I'm not good at, like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not this and that. Like all these limited beliefs.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, or I don't have the background or whatnot. So Tony Robbins' seminar really helped me through those limited beliefs.
Yes.
Right? Then I signed up for his bigger self-motivation or self-development program, which is called Date with Destiny. And they have one in Florida, but I decided I'm going to go to the one in Australia. So
wow.
In Cairns, Australia.
Fancy.
Yeah. So I went out there. It was like a whole week. And from there, I met so many amazing people. It's hard not to be in with people there because everyone's hugging and, yes, you can do it. F those limited beliefs. So my flatmates in Cairns, Australia, we were, had discussions in between like the days of this program. And so I said, you know what? I think I'm going to quit my job, because she told me, Gina, you have your hands in so many different things. Like you do your regular job in advertising. You have this group called Women Supporting Women in San Francisco. You do your wedding business. But every time you talk about your advertising business, it's like, or your advertising career, it's like, whereas when you're talking about your other things, your face lights up. And I was, she's like, you can live at a 10, but you decide to live at a 2.
Oh, that is powerful. You can live at a 10, but you're deciding to live at a 2. And this is where, when women think they don't have choices, think of Gina and this moment. We always have choices. You were choosing to live at a 2.
Yeah, I was choosing to live at 2 because I wanted that security check, and everyone, I mean, of course, it's not that you want to be rich. It's because it's what money does for you. It helps you that security. But I was like, man, you're so right. And then like the next day I was like, I'm going to quit my job. And she's like, oh, perfect. What's the date you're going to quit? And I was like, I didn't think about that. So we're in the car driving to the seminar. And I'm like thinking, okay, it's June, July. She's like, don't think about it. Just give me a date right now, because I'm going to put it in my calendar and I'm going to be accountable to you to this date. I was like, Sure, October 31st, that's Halloween. Like, that's a great
Why
time.
not just pick that date? Because it really didn't matter, right? It was just about having the goal and working toward it.
Exactly. And so I literally ended up quitting a week before Labor Day.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I'm back to, regular reality, like my regular job. And I'm sitting there at my desk and I'm like, doing my daily duties. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Once you see it, right? It's really hard to stay there.
Oh my gosh. So I literally was like, okay, I'm just gonna put my head down, just keep doing my work, and I quit. I didn't have a plan, Jennifer. Like I didn't even
That's incredible.
I every job that I've left, I've never told my mom because I knew that she would stress out and not sleep.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I didn't tell her. And so like I quit and I was like, okay, well, at least I have enough savings to kind of get me through. Right. And then I remember I was talking to a friend that was also in the program before, and he had told me about, what he does. And I was just like, oh wow, like how come, and it's called living benefits, is what I do now. And he was like, yeah, you can access your death benefit while living. And I was like, wait, my dad and mom never had that.
Hmm.
Because financially we suffered as a family because we lost my dad's income. And then my mom, it's not like she can go get another job. And I was helping as much as I can. And my sister was as well. But having living benefits, I was like, how come nobody knows about this? My mom's not even heard about it. And so that's how I got into this shift of, I don't want to be in advertising. I quit. I was like, there has to be something else out there. And
Yeah.
I feel like I was given the gift, and it's not that I'm super religious, I believe that there's a higher power. I feel like my gift or the gift that was given to me was the gift of connection. I love, like, within 5 minutes of meeting someone, even at a bar or like a networking event or just at a park, you know, naturally I have this gift of drawing people in, having a really genuine conversation, and then them trusting me. Oh my God, can I have your number? Can we hang?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt like because I have that gift, I have this gift of connection, and I can educate people on living benefits where I'm not like a pushy salesperson. Like
Right.
I want someone to help me solve a problem. So that's how I basically run my business is I'm here to give you a solution in case life happens. So
Right.
that's how I shifted. I was like, and I have not turned back. I actually had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn. Hey, I saw your career in account managing. We're looking for someone to fill the position. And I'm looking at the job description. I was like, I like being an entrepreneur.
Yes. What I love about this was how you chose yourself at each step of the way and without a safety net at this point. And then you found this work that you're passionate about. It's clear because what that woman said about the way you were kind of wah, wah about your old job, you are lighting up as you talk about this. And you can see it's like, my family went through this. I don't want another family to go through this. And so, where you said you didn't find your purpose in advertising, but you found your purpose here, I can totally see it. So, Gina, I want to give you a few minutes to just share with us. By the way, you guys, Gina's socials are so fun to follow. So, I can imagine people are interested in following you in general and probably learning more about what you do. Why don't you share how people can get in touch with you?
Yes. So my Instagram is living life with underscore Gina, Gina. And then on Facebook, I think I'm Gina Living Life Wong or something like that.
I can double check. We'll put all the information up when this is posted so people can grab it. I'll double check your Facebook handle.
Yeah, living life with, I living life, you just have to live life to the fullest. And I feel like a lot of people are so scared of doing that. Number one, because of change, right?
Yeah.
They want to stick with their routine, and any type of change scares them.
Yes.
But what I've learned is if you continue to say, I can't, you're just basically limiting yourself. You're basically pushing yourself down, saying, I can't.
Right.
Changing your mindset. Even if you don't think you can, just say it out loud. Saying it out loud, saying it to the mirror, look at yourself in the eyes and just say it. Because when you continue to say it, and I do it as a daily affirmation, when you start saying it, you start believing it, and then you start feeling it.
Yeah, I love this. I love that little tip. And so we were talking before we got on here that if somebody wanted to come and talk to you, they could do that, right?
Yeah, so reach out to me because I know a lot of people that are like, I don't know what living benefits is.
Yes.
It's basically a way for you to access for the company I work with, I broker for, you can access up to $1.5 million in case of a heart attack, a stroke, a cancer, a disability. How many times do people have life insurance where they have to die, which is super important, right, Jennifer?
Yes.
The thing is, from now until death, something always happens in between.
Yes.
And for my dad, it was stage 4 lung cancer, and I'm part of the Relay for Life Greater San Jose chapter, which I love because we're helping donate or raise money for Relay for Life because they do have programs that help people that are going through cancer and the families too. But having that peace of mind, when I work with weddings, I give peace of mind to the couple. Hey, by the time of your wedding day, you don't have to worry about a dang thing because I'm going to take the reins of your wedding day. And usually after the wedding, couples are like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I hired you because I didn't have to worry about anything. When I saw this opportunity to become a living benefit specialist, I saw it as I'm giving people peace of mind.
Yes.
Even life happens.
Yeah. Life does happen. It's going to happen.
Gosh, I can literally say, don't worry about it. We're going to give you a check, and being able to give, what if you got an $800,000 check because of a cancer diagnosis? Do whatever you want with the money. We're also going to have our bills, even if we can't work due to an illness or a disability.
Yeah.
You pay your bills. Use it for treatment that's not covered under medical insurance. Like, you guys, if you think that medical insurance is covering everything, think again. Make sure you contact me. I can just assess what you have. Consultations are free, but at least your options, know what your opportunity is, because before you don't have the opportunity to get living benefits.
Yeah. So I just want to say, I love the way you've described this 800,000. It is the peace of mind. All right, my friend, we're going to wrap up here. What is your website? Is your website how people could schedule the consultation?
Yeah. So you can go to Living Life with Gina on Facebook, or Living Life or Living Benefits with Gina. I can't remember, but
I'll figure it out before. I'll figure it out.
There's a book me button on there.
Okay. So on your Facebook page, there's a book me. Okay. We'll put that up. Okay. Gina, this has been so delightful, number one. And number two, I learned more about you today than I knew before, and I just love it. So thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you for sharing your story. I have no doubt people are inspired by this and will come and find you. And seriously, you guys, follow her. Even if right now you're like, I don't need to talk about this. She has a lot of really, really great information. She's very educational. So go follow Gina. Gina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me.
My pleasure. Hey friend, if you recognize yourself in these stories and you don't want to give a should anymore, you have to join my coaching community, the GC. Come learn the tools to recognize when fear and worry are running the show and how to shift into more of what you want without guilt or blowing up your life, unless, of course, that's what you want. Inside the GC, you'll learn strategies to start making yourself a priority. Stop saying yes when you mean no. Have hard conversations and so much more. And you get to do this with a group of women who are making the same changes in their lives and are there to support you, not judge you. It's a seriously warm, safe space where genuine connections are made. The GC is where doubt and loneliness meet their match. You can get all the info at jennifersherwood.com/thegc. But if you're not ready for something like that yet, I've got you. Head over to my website, jennifersherwood.com, and hit the Relief Right Now button. I'll send 3 ridiculously simple steps to go from overwhelm to ease.